welcome to Not a Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of SCAD students not doing anything. Tonight we join you from out on our front porch. We decided that, we're going to try and change up the locations. That was good. Good unison. That means that it'll work. So we're going to try and change up the locations as well as the guests as we progress into the adventure that is this podcast.
We're trying to book a nudist place, so watch out for that.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Yes, I'll be wearing no clothes.
It'll
Not
be
like
amazing.
you can't tell on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, we could all be naked right now.
As
No
far
one
as
would
you
know.
know.
Anyway.
I don't want any of you to be naked.
Yeah,
Well, that's not very nice.
Don't knock it till you try it, James. Anyway, I am your host.
There's only you out of 3 guys.
Wow. All right, I am your host, Alex Oldhauser, and to my immediate left is
Rolly Arena.
and
Shauna Wright.
today we have special guest James Kittle-Kamp.
They're not so special, but hi, I'm James Kittle-Kamp.
Woo, James, welcome.
Woo!
We're trying not to be too loud because it is after midnight and we're like 5 feet away from the street. So if there is any car noise like
this.
that,
I'm gonna try
Yeah.
try
Then,
not to disturb the neighbors. And
just think of it as atmosphere and not annoyance.
Just imagine us in the middle of a busy highway. I know by now some of you probably are.
In the middle of a busy highway.
Yes, it's the internet.
They're listening to us as they're committing suicide in the middle of a busy
no,
highway.
No.
they're
Oh.
imagining us in the
They
middle
could
of
be
a highway.
construction workers. Hello.
Oh, okay.
They're imagining us in the middle of the highway.
Oh, I like the idea better that
Internet people are very mean, you know.
I like the idea better that they hate us so much that they're gonna walk into a busy highway. Joke's on you. This is the last thing you hear. What did that mean? You'll never know. You're dead now. All right, so James, you are a sequential arts major.
that is correct.
That is correct. You're gonna have to get close to the microphone.
That is correct.
There you go. Just shove your whole face in there.
Just like, just try to swallow it.
Oh, that's a pretty big microphone. I don't know. Will that all fit in there?
I'll need some alcohol first, but yes.
Okay, anyway, so you are a sequential arts major. And what year is this for you?
Junior.
This is your junior year.
Oh,
pretty-
yeah.
So, I mean, how do you feel about the sequential arts department here at SCAD?
I like it so far. I mean, I'm just taking... This is really my second, third class for sequential, and I like it so far, and I'm actually excited to go to class for the first time ever.
So, what classes are you currently taking in the major?
In the major, drawing for sequential and survey of sequential, which is essentially just the history of comics and the industry.
Oh, that's gotta be fun.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, how far back does it go? I
Um,
mean, starting with Superman,
It goes...
Cave paintings.
cave paintings.
They try to make loose connections to cave paintings, hieroglyphics, the Norman tapestries and stuff like that.
I feel like they do that for every
Yeah.
history of whatever class.
Yeah, they
I
basically
mean,
do.
obviously they do it in
But-
art history.
It would be more obvious for sequential, though,
But it's
because
like-
they obviously are telling a
but-
sequential story.
True, but it's like a lot of it's kind of a stretch because they didn't really the things didn't really click until the late 18th century. We started having actual speech balloons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we kind of learned about good comics and comics that are really dated by today's standards. I mean, the only comic that's really readable today from the earliest era is probably, I'm gonna say, Crazy Cat.
Crazy Cat. What is that?
It's
Is
it's
it a
widely
cat that's crazy?
It's widely considered the greatest comic or newspaper comic ever made.
Really?
Even Bill Watterson of Calvin and Hobbes is heavily influenced by it. Kind of the crazy designs.
It's like Garfield influenced by it as well.
It's really weird. There's a cat, a mouse, and a dog. And,
Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie.
it's a weird dynamic that the cat is absolutely in love with the mouse. That their sex changes constantly. It's whatever fits the situation.
Whoa, I don't want to know about
It's
cat
not-
on mouse sex.
No,
Okay. Sometimes
he's
it's
really
69, sometimes it's missionary.
Yeah,
It changes
but
from
he
comic to
loves
comic.
it. He's absolutely in love with the mouse, and the mouse doesn't like him at all, so he keeps throwing bricks at him. But the cat mistakes it for a signs of love, and the dog is a police officer and always tries to arrest the mouse because he cares about the cat. It's really weird, but
It's like this crazy love triangle.
It's a really weird love triangle,
Oh,
but
God.
it's
very weird.
Yeah,
The
it's
mouse
very
is really tsundere.
it's very
It's not like
surreal,
I
but
like you or anything.
but in other words, but my last class we just got done reading Little Lulu or something like that. It's so it's so agonizingly unfunny.
They
Wow.
made the Little Lulu made a cartoon.
Yeah, it's just. I actually found it's like finding a comic that's actually more boring than Blondie and Dennis the Menace.
And Kathy. Don't forget Kathy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ew.
I speak for women because I'm not skinny.
Yeah, oh god.
I don't have a nose, so I can't smell your bullshit, stupid man.
God,
That's
so
Kathy.
terrible.
Ah!
Yeah,
That sounded more like Charlie Brown.
yeah, at least Charlie Brown's depressing. I mean,
I thought they were.
Charlie Brown likes Lucy. Charlie Brown, as your psychiatrist, I think you should kill yourself.
If only Charlie Brown went that way.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Charlie Brown did have some dark stuff in it. I mean,
That's
At least Charlie Brown represented real bald children.
it's true. he had
Kathy
a-
doesn't represent shit.
Does that mean Charlie Brown
no,
has...
you're wrong.
I worry about
Kathy,
shoes and eating stuff.
No, you're wrong.
I represent all women.
You're wrong.
Obviously.
You're wrong, because Kathy does represent shit. But Charlie Brown was kind of, it had dark point, and that's what I liked about it. Like,
I mean, it was like one of the first really kind of dark children.
I mean, you got a kite-eating tree.
Yeah.
I always imagined what kind of weird porno would be between the kite-eating tree and the giving tree.
Oh.
See, the giving tree would be, giving a lot.
And
Guys,
the kite-eating
quick.
tree would be eating.
Yeah.
Quick
A
to
lot
the
of
internet,
kites.
guys. The kite-eating tree, the internet.
I mean, the kite-eating tree could very easily be a very racist, terrible Nazi figure.
Oh God.
Yeah, and the
Why?
It's one letter change.
One letter change still.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Racist.
We've already gotten off on a
we
huge
got it off
tangent.
on a huge-
So, James, what do you still keep up with comics today, or?
Less than I used to, mostly because it kind of got expensive, and I try not to rip off comics that much because I'm trying to support I much rather support the artist, because as I want to do my own art, I'd much rather not be ripped off as well. So I don't want to rip off other artists.
So you're all about originality.
Yeah, I just don't want to.
Which means that
don't-
you spend 90% of your time on DeviantArt looking at original Sonic characters.
I don't like Sonic that much, but
No, I'm
it
just
doesn't
messing
work
with
for
you.
me.
Do you have a favorite graphic novel or comic book run?
Comic book run, one of my biggest influences in high school was probably Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Calvin and Hobbes and needlessly,
All in the same wheel.
yeah, all the needlessly 80s,
Both by Tim Burton.
needlessly violent 80s comics that were like Judge Dredd and like
Spawn.
and
Aw.
well, that's 90s, but
What
still
would you-
it's like super edgy, like I'm the scab that never heals. This hurts you more than it hurts me.
So obviously you loved Rorschach and Watchmen.
Yeah, it's like that.
The city is dirty,
The city's dirty,
and I'm gonna give it a sponge bath.
with my fist. Some shit like that.
Do either of you have any favorite comic books, or are either of you into comic books?
I like comic books, but I haven't read as much comic books as I want to.
Did you used to as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I used to read some Spawn here and there. Nothing like great, but I used to. I started reading Neil Gaiman's The Sandman.
Oh, that's a great one.
I thought it was brilliant. I didn't get to finish it, but I'm hoping to finish
They
it.
kill the goth chick at the end because
Whoa,
Superman,
spoilers, man.
Because in Superman, he keeps coming back to life, and comic book characters too. So they theoretically just kill death.
Shauna, what about you?
I can't really tell you a favorite, but I can tell you off the top of my head, recent obsessions and guilty pleasure.
Okay.
Recent obsessions would definitely be the new Red Lantern
Oh yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I love it. And the Dead Man comics.
Actually, yeah, really good.
Like, I discovered Dead Man only recently, and I'm like, oh my god, give me more, I need to read more.
Some of the best comics out right now are actually characters you would never think would be great. Like one of the, when DC did their whole relaunch of the New 52 or whatever, one of the best ones out the gate was Animal Man.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird. Like Animal Man. What the fuck is about Animal Man?
Well,
he's really awesome.
I first really I started thinking about Animal Man because they had like those shorts in the DC Nation kind of thing on Cartoon Network, and they're really some of the funniest
I've never
like
seen
shorts
that.
I've ever seen. Like he freaks out. Darkseid's attacking, but Animal Man freaks out.
But I have to turn into a cat and take a shit real quick.
Yeah, essentially, Animal Man comes like he's buzzing like a mosquito, like he's doing this chicken wing kind of thing, and he sees like this owner. He's like, "How dare you, sir? Keep keeping your corgi tied up like that. Corgis need to be loved and nurtured. Come here, little boy." And Darkseid's blowing up everything. Away I go, and he goes. I'm like, I kind of want to read Animal Man now. If it's really like that, I really want to read it.
That kind of reminds me of. I'll get back to that. But Shauna, your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is actually a webcomic that I have read since I was
Are you gonna say
young.
Homestuck?
No.
Okay.
She's gonna say Drow Tales.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's called Drow Tales.
Drow Tales?
Drow Tales. It's a fantasy comic.
You know the Dark Elves from
Or
From D&D?
Yeah, D&D.
Oh, from D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're called the Drow, yeah. Actually,
Race of dumbasses.
I really wanted to get into that too because Shauna turned me on to it, and I saw some of the art and I thought it was great. And
The art's great now, but like since I read it, like I've read it since he was like a terrible artist. Like it was awful, and just watching his art style evolve, and then he had a full studio. It's just him and his lady friend now, but still the way the art has evolved, it just
those webcomics, like a lot of it's just for like, it just shows you how much the artist improved. They're just putting out like page after page after page.
now let me tell you about Homestuck.
I don't want to talk about it.
No.
You just peeked half for it, listeners.
No.
So
If there
James,
is any.
so James, I'm assuming that you want to do your own comic. So would you be interested in starting with webcomics?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Are you wanting to write as well as do the?
I have my own
Art?
stories, but a lot of them are just kind of parodies of like just kind of genres and stuff like that. Mostly because a lot of genres are in desperate need of
Reboots.
reboots, I would say, but just kind of like just need to be kind of deflated a little bit.
I don't know. I mean,
But I just also find comedy to be.
well, obviously you were just talking about Animal Man
Yeah.
that particular segment on Cartoon Network that was funny.
Yeah.
What I was going to say before, what it reminded me of is, humorous takes on characters. Obviously, the internet loves Deadpool.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
on the DC side, I've always loved Booster Gold.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Oh my
so
God.
stupid.
I like Plastic Man.
Yeah,
Plastic
Man's
Man?
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could have made him actually a pretty good show on Cartoon Network because they got Tom Kenny to do like the voice for the pilot, which would have been pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, he was on Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Like every voice ever. I can't speak. Every voice actor ever was on Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Okay, when Brave and the Bold first came out, I mean, of course, everybody's reaction was, "What the fuck is this?
Well,
What is
Yeah.
this?" But it's amazing.
for me,
I mean,
for me,
It's
it
the
didn't make-
lighter side of Batman. I
Sure.
love it.
Yeah.
For me,
It's
I
like
ca-
what Batman was.
To me, I kind of didn't understand it at the time because you had like Nolan's Batman at the same time, where it's super edgy and dark, where it just kind of feels like you get little kids to watch it, and it's like, wait a minute, this is Batman. I thought Batman was supposed to kick the crap out of people, and the Joker's supposed to cut people's faces open.
No.
And then the Joker's like turning the ocean into like pudding or some shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Wait, what would Aquaman think about that? Speaking of which, Aquaman is like one of my favorite characters on Brave and the Bold.
On Brave and the Bold. Okay,
Yeah,
yes. I
on
thought you
Brave
were
and the
just
Bold.
saying ever.
No, just on Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold's awesome. One of the, the final episode of it is Batman literally fighting being canceled.
Really?
It's the final episode of the show. There's so many great things about it. There's one episode where Batmite, the character who is Batman's biggest fan, or whatever, is he shows these 3 different stories, much like they did in Batman the Animated Series, where they did the same thing, where they did 3 different stories.
Yeah, they had classic '60s Batman, super edgy.
Yeah, they did that.
Batman Returns Batman, and I forgot what else.
Yeah, and they did the same thing on Brave and the Bold. And Brave and the Bold, they did. I mean, it was just really funny. I'm not gonna describe it all right now. I'm just gonna say, if you're listening to this still, and you want to have a good time and see why that series is actually very underrated, then you should check out that episode. I don't know what it's called. Batmite tells you some shit. I bet that's the episode they aired on Cartoon Network with that title.
With the shit uncensored and everything.
Yep.
So they're allowed to say 1 shit a year, and that's it.
There you go. They used it on Batman.
Yeah.
So
why wouldn't you use shit on Batman?
I don't know. I would never shit on Batman. Do you guys have a favorite superhero or
I grew up
or anti-hero?
Since I was born in the '90s, and they had.
If you say Gambit, I swear to God.
He was cool and Cajun, man.
Fuck you.
No.
Also, if you say Cable, fuck you. If anybody likes Cable, I don't respect you.
He's just such a product of his time.
God, he looks so stupid. I'm from the future. What, like 2090? You can only be from the 90s.
God, those comics, like, they're just so...
I'm sorry, I
cut you I was
off.
born in the '90s, and you had like Batman the Animated Series out. I mean, I'm gonna say Batman's still probably my favorite.
Well, Batman has been, pretty big throughout most decades.
Yeah, but true. But Batman in the '90s, like for the animated series, is
and the Tim Burton movies.
The Tim Burton movies were cheesy, but they were
at the time they were awesome.
Yeah, but they were really dark at the time, like a big kind of break from the '60s. Campy Batman. That's why. Then you had the animated series, which was like the mosh, like the '40s kind of golden age Batman, which was still pretty dark and gloomy.
Yeah, Shauna, what about you?
Which was kind of crazy that Batman Brave and the Bold is. Like
yeah,
the
well,
60s
you know.
I never actually gave it much thought as to what my favorite superhero is. I mean, I only just recently got into anything kind of nerdy because I was always raised as a traditional nerd, smart, gets good grades, good at science, all that other good stuff. Not the geek culture.
Okay.
That I've only ever recently been immersed in.
Rolly, what about you?
I don't really have a favorite superhero. It's like telling me what's my favorite color. So many, good ones.
Judge Dredd.
Wow, you got...
Gaze in the fist of
Puke's
Dredd.
is a good color.
Yeah.
I'm the law. Stallone sounds like he's either gargling marbles or right before he said drowning in pudding or
in fairness to him, his lip is actually paralyzed in real life.
Yeah, I mean there's a whole story whatever, and his son recently died, so we'll give him a pass for pudding mouth. I mean, I'm tempted to say Batman as well.
Oh wow,
it's such a cliche.
It is, but it's.
I mean,
it's
he is
because,
one of the best superheroes out there.
Well, it's because there's so many variations of Batman.
Yeah.
Like you can do.
Like Brave and the Bold Batman.
Right, you can do Adam West Batman, or you can do super emo Batman, or you can do Batman on an adventure with sidekicks, or you can
crazy Batman who eats rats.
I do have to tell you, my favorite Joker. I'm not saying Joker's my favorite villain, but my favorite Joker has got to be Mark Hamill Joker.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, Heath Ledger did an amazing performance.
Oh, amazing performance. But when I think about the Joker, I hear the voice of Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Exactly. If I'm reading a Batman comic book and there's the Joker, it's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Just like it's Kevin Conroy from Batman the Animated Series as Batman. Whenever I read something, that's why. That's part of the reason why the Arkham games were so amazing.
Yeah, it was Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy.
And Kevin Conroy. All right, I think we've talked about Batman for long enough. So I believe that we had other topics other than comic books on the slate. So
going back to Cable, he gave us one thing: Deadpool.
He didn't give us Deadpool.
He was a sidekick.
I mean, they had a comic run. They had Cable and Deadpool.
He was a sidekick for a long time.
He didn't come from Cable.
He was like a sidekick for a longest time.
Right, but I can't
remember.
When it started, he was part of the Weapon X program.
I just don't see him as a.
It was
as a as a sidekick.
Deadpool?
Yeah.
He's just there for snarky comments. It all depends on the writer who has them,
Yeah,
because
I mean-
a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of Deadpool books are shit. Because a lot of people just don't know how to write him. They think
Yeah.
he's just a jokester, but like he's a mercenary. He's
Yeah.
supposed to kill people.
Yeah.
Although there are some really funny things,
Yeah.
like, I love the smell of 4,673 pancakes in the morning. And there's just like a giant amount of pancakes in front of him. It's like, okay, yep, born for the internet.
And then chimichangas.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so should have said this at the top of the show, but the way that the show works is that we each bring a topic to the table. Obviously, first topic is always talk about our guest, see what they love, and if they have any projects that they want people to know about, then they can plug it. So, I mean, James, do you have any projects that you'd like to get somebody involved with?
Not right now.
All right, well, fuck you, ruining our show.
Like, we were all ready to get in on this big project, be like, yeah, but no.
But no,
Not even a
No.
website, bro? Come on.
don't you want a website?
Not yet.
No. All right. If you wanted to help James, then you can just
I'll come
Suck a
back
dick.
a few.
look
for,
the other way whenever he
I'll come
passes
back
by.
a few for.
Yeah,
here
our
from,
listeners don't really know what he looks like, so they can't even tell.
Well, he's in
You have
the.
a writer, you have a graphic designer, you have a second artistic opinion,
Yep.
all right here.
But no,
And you're like, no,
no. All right.
I
Anyway,
don't
we'll,
want to do anything
I
with
was
you
6
guys.
so we bring different topics. So I believe Rolly had a
I'm a
topic.
6 foot tall guy with a huge beard.
That's exactly what you look.
Yeah, right.
So
He's
Rolly.
also got a gut. Huge
So
gut.
so Rolly would. Oh, so he's Richard.
Oh.
What? You just this 6-foot guy with a huge beard
And a gut.
and a gut.
Yeah,
It's Richard.
I'm Richard.
Oh, I'm Richard Hicks.
Are you that roommate from that movie which steals his identity?
All right. We got to move on. We got to
Okay.
move on. So Rolly, you.
My topic was being. Well, I mean, does it suck to be under 21 and living in Savannah? Is there anything to do? Is it really that
Other
fun?
than sit at home and be jealous of all your older friends.
Yeah.
Alone on the computer all night.
Sit home, look at porn.
I mean, you
Do
can go to
homework.
church.
Even that gets boring after a while.
Go to
Oh,
church.
some people go to church.
In the dead of night?
Yeah,
when all
night
their
church.
friends
Night church.
The best church.
It's like night court, but
Yeah.
night church.
I really, that's
It's not a thing.
baffling to me.
Night church.
Is there any
No, they have a
particular
jingle.
is there any particular reason why you wanted to bring this up, Rolly?
Because I came to Savannah, I was over 21, but a lot of my friends were. And I realized, hey, let's go out, whatever, let's do something. Oh, we can't. I mean, a lot of my friends don't drink, but they like to hang out with
One another?
people.
And yet there's a lot of places that you can't even get into if you're under 21.
Exactly.
I think Shauna can speak most to this, considering
She
last
just
year when we
burned.
all met. Excuse me, James. If you're going to cough, ask for permission.
Could I fart?
Sir, yes, sir.
You can only you must refer to me as Big Papa.
Thank you, Big Papa.
You're welcome. You're welcome, child. You're welcome. So, Shauna, last year whenever we all met, you were under 21.
I was.
Yes. And now you can drink freely and piss in the middle of the street and nobody can tell you shit, right? Like that's what you can do now because you're over 21?
Funny story. 21, came here. I haven't really drank much.
Oh.
I mean, obviously right now I am, but
No.
like going to bars, I
You
don't drink.
You ruined the
The
facade.
surprise. The surprise.
Yeah, I was just gonna wait
The
until
facade. Are we lying to our audience?
we were by not telling them. Live omission. I was gonna wait till the end. We were gonna end the podcast with a giant puke fest.
Oh well, shit.
See you next.
Why did I drink so much?
I'm such a lightweight. Half a beer.
I'm so tipsy. But anyway, so
I'm
we.
wasted.
But anyways,
We
I found that it's not being 21, especially in a place like this. It's not about drinking. It's about being able to go the same places that your friends do. Because around here, they ID everywhere. So after a certain hour, there's no place you can go that you can get into without being over 21.
For example, last year when we started hanging out, we started doing a thing called Wing Night, where we would go to the local bar, pub, whatever it is. I think it's a pub. Yeah, McDonough's down on Drayton.
Great place, by the way.
It's very nice. Great wings. That's why we dedicated an entire night to
Hey,
Anything.
they're not paying us for a commercial.
I don't care.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
maybe they will. Hey, McDonough's, you're not listening to me, but your wings are delicious. So we started
lemon pepper specially.
Please pay us.
So we started having wing night. So we would show up and be there. But after 9, they start IDing. And Shauna was under 21. It didn't matter that she wasn't there to drink. She was there for food. It didn't matter. After a while, they started kicking all of us out because we were bringing, a minor in.
Well,
Oh my God.
it's the law. I mean,
Just
there's
like an
nothing they
infant.
can do, but
True.
I mean, they could not do it.
They could just let me drink my water.
Yeah.
but there's nothing they can do if an inspector comes in. It's Savannah law.
Yeah, true.
They're gonna get a fine anyways, so they have to watch their ass.
True.
And I understand. And at this point, it's invalid. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the question still remains, can you have fun in Savannah underage?
Not really.
James says no.
You have to do.
If you go to
your
the
friends have to
library-
be nice enough to not stay in places and stay outside. And if they decide to drink, you have to wait outside while they get their drinks.
I mean,
Like, you have to make sacrifices, but I think it's possible.
if your friends want to
Definitely.
drink, they can always go into Wet Willie's or something and get something to drink, and you can walk around with something.
Yeah.
And even if you're under 21 and you're walking with them, I think you're fine.
As long as you're not giving them alcoholic drinks, they should be okay.
Right. Unfortunately, I would say that during the day, there's plenty to do.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Oh yeah, there's the park. There's the
Forsyth Park alone could entertain you for like a week at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just going to
and
the
there's
park and
now,
like,
they do
park.
concerts at night that you can
Yeah.
go to,
Yep.
but that's that's maybe once a month, every other week, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, if one of your friends has a car, you guys can go to Tybee or Hilton Head.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wait,
But-
But the problem with that is that that's not
everybody-
in Savannah.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know. I would say that it's better just to stay in,
Yeah.
unless you just like walking around. But at a certain time of night, then you're just gonna
Just be
run into
responsible.
homeless people
Stay
and
home,
drunkards.
do homework, and play video games.
Yeah, just play some video games. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty much it for Savannah.
Well, that topic went a long way. The verdict is no.
Unless
Yeah.
unless anyone else has any
you
suggestions
can,
out
but you
there,
have to be willing
like,
to make some sacrifices.
You just have to
that's all.
look a little harder.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, if
yeah,
you want to drink, you can walk anywhere in the city, and you can find somewhere to forget the night away.
What?
That should be a song.
Yeah.
Forget the night away.
I feel like it needs to have like a nice electronic hook to the song where it's like electronic keyboards.
like an 80s.
We've reached the
kinda-
part of the show where we do nothing but ramble.
Yep. Hey, we were
'Cause
doing
I'm
that
a rambling
earlier.
Man.
You're rambling, man.
I ramble,
You're rambling on.
rambling on.
Rambling on. Okay. Anyway. All right. Next topic. Next topic. While we were already discussing staying and playing video games, I thought it might be kind of cool to talk about video games a little bit. I mean, we're already in the nerd hole. Is that like
The nerd
is
hole.
that another hole?
That sounds like an amazing bar to open. The nerd hole.
I was gonna say it sounded like a terrible sexual position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does-
Where you fill an orifice with nerds.
Oh God,
What?
shut up.
Oh.
It sounds
Oh,
incredibly
oh.
uncomfortable.
No, this is what you do. You put all the purple ones in the left nostril and all the pink ones in the right nostril.
And you have somebody suck them
And
out.
you're like, let me suck that nerd hole.
Oh.
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 I like how on this show we go
Any
from...
nose fetishes out there, we apologize in advance.
Apologize. They're loving us right now.
Oh, I doubt it. I like how on the show we go from intimately discussing topics of art and then immediately delving into cock jokes. Almost immediately.
Yes,
So, with video games, I wanted to discuss...
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'd like to discuss, if everybody here is a gamer, I think everybody is to a certain extent.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Word.
So I'd like to ask do you remember the first game system that you ever owned?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember the first game that you ever played?
Yep.
All right,
Clearly.
Rolly. Clearly you do. So.
All right. My first game was the NES. It was the 90s, and my mom wanted to give us a treat. So she went down, and my father had sent money over from the Dominican Republic, and she had bought us this new Nintendo system, and it was awesome. The first game we had on it was Mario Brothers.
Oh, classic.
Nice.
And frankly, my mom played the game more than we did, and she got really good at Dr. Mario.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she till this day would kick our ass at Dr. Mario. She plays level 20, top speed, just as many viruses you can get, and she's getting bored because it's not challenging enough.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Shauna, what about you? Do you remember the first video game you ever played?
First system I had was a Sega Genesis. First
Nice.
video game I ever played was Lion King.
Nice.
The Lion
Very
King
good
video
game,
game.
actually.
How was the blast processing power?
What?
No, people who
What?
understand the Genesis commercials were always like, Sega does what Nintendo don't, and it's like, it's got blast processing power.
What does that mean?
It meant
It meant nothing. Because Sega doesn't exist
they
anymore.
just showed a rodent running really fast and like blasting power.
Extreme, the 90s.
Yeah, it was the 90s, so everything was like that. Anyway, I'm sorry. The Lion King game, that was your first.
Yes, and to this day, I am terrible at it. Can't even get past the first level. How can I be
I
beaten by a
beat that
beetle?
game.
Shut up!
Beetle. Stupid Beetle.
I mean,
Did you play it on a Nintendo system or?
Sega Genesis.
Fuck you.
It's because,
Fuck
because
What's the
Sega
difference?
does with
You.
Nintendo.
Well, what's
All right,
the
all right.
difference?
James, what about you?
The first game system I actually owned was Nintendo 64.
Really? N64 was your first?
Yeah, I mean, my parents didn't really let me get a game system for a while, and I kept begging them until Christmas, like my first grade year, I got a Nintendo 64, and I remember clearly the first two games I got was Star Wars Rogue Squadron and Banjo-Kazooie.
Ooh, Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, those were good games.
I've recently been playing back through Banjo-Kazooie. So, going back through Banjo-Kazooie, I played Banjo-Kazooie as a
It's a
kid.
challenging game. It's fun. But
Banjo?
Yeah, Banjo is
It is, I mean, I always love the sense of humor about it.
Yeah, it had a great sense of humor.
Every character has a wacky voice and all of the...
Yeah, it's like a slightly darker version of a Disney cartoon.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Conker is a
Conker's-
really...
Oh yeah.
Conker's if
It's like
Disney was done by South Park.
it's
Pretty
like
much,
Bugs
yeah.
Bunny meets like the raunchiest, dirty kid in your school.
Yeah,
You went to that? Okay.
Really?
it's like if
That sounds-
it's like if
Where did
Disney
you go to
like
school?
hired Robert Crumb to do a Disney movie, but didn't know who Robert Crumb was.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like those huge stigmas on that sunflower.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Or the Great Mighty Pooh.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
God, that was-
Some amazing, memorable characters.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Uh,
but that was the great thing about Rareware, the ones who made that.
Rare
game.
back in the 90s on Nintendo made like some great iconic games.
Oh, absolutely! Everything they put out was pretty much an instant
Yeah.
classic.
Uh,
Yeah.
That drunk scarecrow. I love that drunk
Oh,
scarecrow.
Yep.
So
Also great. So, I mean, my first system was an NES, much like you, Rolly, and I mean, I was pretty much out of the womb a video game nerd. My mom played the original Mario Brothers while she was pregnant with me, so I came out playing Mario pretty much.
Nice.
And so I owned an NES, SNES. I was always a Nintendo fanboy.
Yep.
I never owned a Genesis, but I played a fair bit of it because I had friends who had it, so I'd go over and play it over there. I never owned a PS1. I only owned a PS2 really late into the cycle.
Yeah,
like,
same
really
here.
late.
Okay.
Which I mean was terrible because I missed out on a lot of great games.
Yeah.
But GameCube had a lot of great games. So
Yeah.
I went from NES to SNES to Nintendo 64 to Xbox. I jumped.
you just completely went off the map.
Yeah, I jumped GameCube. I jumped, all the PlayStations. I never owned a Playstation.
I
My
never
father
owned an
actually
Xbox.
recently bought a PlayStation 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to play Blu-rays on. Like,
Yeah, that's
no
that's
other
actually
reason.
the reason why I got my PS3 is because I'm like, Dad, it's a good investment.
It's an entertainment system. You can play anything on it.
It's like when I had enough money for my job, I'm like, must buy Blu-ray, video games, HD.
So, were you guys excited for this past generation with the Xbox 360 and the Wii
yeah.
and the PS3?
Yeah.
They had a really.
Did anybody wait in a line?
No.
Nope.
No.
I wasn't.
See, I always like when it comes to like phones or electronics, I always wait for all the
It's
kinks
just-
and bugs to get
it
out of
really-
it, and then I buy it.
For me,
See,
it doesn't really matter. It's just like
Yeah.
you're gonna get it eventually.
well, I feel like an idiot now because I totally waited in line for a Wii. Yeah, I waited in line, and then I was too far behind in the line to get it. I was like seventh in
that's
line.
terrible.
I was like seventh in line, and there were 6 of them there.
That's terrible.
Like,
And it was awful. And then the funny thing was that my mom was just in the mall with my grandmother and happened to walk into GameStop and was just like, hey, do you guys have any Wiis? And I mean, this was when you couldn't find a Wii anywhere. And they were like, yeah, we just got a shipment.
Oh God.
And it was like, oh my
Lucky
God, yes!
you.
So I still got it day one, just not at, midnight or
You
whatever.
thinking about getting the Wii U?
See, I don't know.
I'm kind
if
of.
they have
I'm
good
on,
games,
I'm on the
maybe.
fence. I'm waiting until to see what like reviewers have to say about it, if it's playable or not.
I mean, it's
I'm on
all
the
it's
fence.
always going to come down to the software,
Yeah.
and for me at the moment, there's nothing really to hook me there. I
For
mean,
me,
they
it's-
have Nintendo Land, which is like a
Me,
collection of
I'm-
mini games.
I really want to get Bayonetta on it.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2 is going to be a Wii U exclusive.
Yeah,
and
I
the first
really-
Bayonetta was a great game.
I love that game.
I mean, it was
so-
really weird and hypersexualized, but it was a really fun
It was
game.
kind of a parody of it as well, but it was just so. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. But they don't. That's not a launch title.
No, it's not. But still.
Nintendo Land is, and so is New
If
Super
they
Mario
get-
Brothers
If
U.
they get a really good HD Zelda game on or a Mario game, I'll probably get it.
Well, like I just said, New Super Mario Brothers U is a launch title.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same as all the other new Super Mario Brothers games.
Well-
It's not new anymore. It's like a 6-year-old franchise and still got new in the title.
And
I
like
don't
even
know.
the power-ups aren't even that new. More coins.
Yeah, now you get like a squirrel suit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Oh, it's so different.
I've floated in a Mario game before.
Yeah. Mario
Trust
can
me.
fly. Not new.
No, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's a totally fun game.
If
Yeah.
like Mario
But-
can like get like a machine gun and start shooting people.
God,
No, Rolly.
That's terrible.
Terrible.
That's
Sweet.
like,
Turn it into another Call of Duty clone.
No, it
Yeah.
turned into 90s Super Mario Brother movie with John Leguizamo,
Oh.
Dennis Hopper.
No.
The
You
year
need
is
to-
2042. Everything is Call of Duty. The video game industry is no more.
Yeah, when that happens, I'm gonna stop playing video games or even going on the internet. That's just
Classic video
'Cause it's
games have
nothing
been
but
banned
videos.
across the land.
Yeah.
believe me if
It's like
Nothing
Mad
but
Max
duty.
with
believe me if I'm gonna
The
play a
Wizards.
super realistic shooter game, I
would join the army.
join the army. Basically.
I would totally teabag everybody in Iraq.
Every-
This is how we do it in the States.
Oh lord.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play a shooter game, but it has to be good, like Half-Life or
Have you heard of
Bioshock.
The Line?
Oh,
Oh, Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things about the story. I heard it's a mediocre shooter.
Yeah, what it is like the reason people like it, because everybody says it's not a fun game. It's horribly, like, not a fun game, but it's one of the most engaging games you're going to play. Because it, like, insults you for doing things. And,
And
like,
see,
it
I-
tells you to do something, and after you do it, it, like, insults you for it. And, like, how many Americans have you killed? Like, loading screens, like, how many Americans have you killed today?
Wow.
Or, you know,
Well, that
really
sounds like
messed up things. It's
that
like
makes me want to
it's-
buy that.
It's like it's the one of the video game guys that are here said it's extra credits on Penny Arcade.
Mhm.
He said it's arguably one of the first video game drama because it's not fun. It's actually just serious play.
Right. I mean, I heard it goes really into the psychological aspect of doing these terrible things at war, which is a very interesting experiment. But I don't know if I want to
It just
sit there and
is-
immerse myself in
To
it.
me, it just I don't think it would kind of defeats the purpose of a video game. Video games are just kind of fun.
But you could say the same thing about movies or TV.
But still, it's like it kind of defeats the purpose of like actually playing a game rather than watching a movie.
Well, let me ask this, just to try and wrap up the whole video game segment here.
Games don't need to be fun.
Well, here's the thing. I want to ask, because this is always a topic of discussion when it comes to video games, and we are at an art school, so are video games art?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Inarguably.
Yeah.
No, I think that it could totally be argued.
Yeah. I mean, the games are getting a lot better stories.
On which level are you judging them? Are you judging them based off of what makes them up? Are you judging them based off of their intrinsic interactivity? I just went back into aesthetics. So
a lot of viewers are like saying like they should like redub games to like more like interactive stories or something like that.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
That way now.
Why are films art? What makes a film art? I mean, obviously, like a piece of art, like you can find different things in it.
Well, that's going into what is art.
But what makes, like, not what is art, but why is a film considered art? Why is it considered art?
A film, well,
story, acting, cinematography, music.
In my opinion, as a graphic designer, a film, like any art medium, is a form of communication. You communicate. Expressive communication.
All right. Well, let me limit it down more. Is the criteria of art judged by the medium that it is presented in, or the content of what you are trying to figure out what is art?
Well, that's what I ask. Are you going by what makes up a video game? Are you going based off?
Well, that's why I'm going with
3D artist, the texture artist.
Well, that's why I'm going with.
What was that one game you were talking about earlier? That was like the first video game drama, or what?
The Line.
The Line. Well, going back to The Line, it's like you're talking about how it's not really fun to play, but it's just engaging. But that could make any terrible game. You could look at it on the same level that it's just impossible to play. But does that make it a good game or not?
Well, it's not the game mechanics wasn't what was interesting about it. It was the story that was engaging, not the gameplay. The gameplay was actually not very good. It was subpar.
Well, again, just bear with me on
a lot of games are subpar, but I still wouldn't want to play them.
Well, bear with me on the movie front here, because I mean, obviously, certain movies are classified as art. I mean, you got things like Citizen Kane or Chinatown or whatever that, by the way that it's shot and acted and composed and everything, that it has this legacy of being art. But then you also have, the bottom of the barrel, like the Transformers movies. Are the Transformers movies art?
I like to think of it this way. There's a difference between art and kitsch. Okay. There's a difference between a spectacular painting in a museum and some fluffy painting of a kitten that you would buy for your home. The fluffy painting of a kitten you would buy for your home, you wouldn't call that, like, high art. You would call that kitsch.
So, Transformers would be kitsch. Call of Duty, Black Ops, who gives a fuck,
would be kitsch.
But things
games,
like
pure entertainment,
like in my opinion, like Flower and Journey and stuff,
right?
Art, definitely.
Well, but those are, I mean, yes, because they.
I just used them as examples because
those are great examples, honestly. So, would Tetris be art?
Actually, I'd say it's the first.
It's or the original Mario Brothers. Is that art? It's revolutionary for what it brought to the table in terms of what games need to be in the future. But does that make it art, or does that just make it a staple of this industry?
There are levels of it which can absolutely be considered art, but
it's experimental.
It's not just experimental. It is a business because they need to sell this art, quote unquote.
Well, I mean
art.
that's what that's not really a factor
here. But Tetris,
here's the thing.
I think it was just intended as a game and a game only because there's really no story to Tetris.
So does a game need to have story in order to be art? Because Flower doesn't have a story necessarily.
I don't think so, because then you could say Monopoly is art.
I mean, we're not going to...
You could also even argue that the art is found in the interactivity.
Yeah.
By interacting with something, it can be viewed as art simply because you can interact with it.
I feel Monopoly
like, you can be an interactive artist without being a game artist.
Okay.
I feel like Monopoly can be an art. Like...
Not an art, like, is it art?
I feel like Monopoly is art.
Monopoly is art.
I feel like Monopoly's art.
Yelling at your grandmother at 3 a.m. because you're still there playing this game for 6 hours.
Why are you
is
still
art.
there? Why are you still playing this game?
Because I don't want to
'Cause I
disgrace my
wanna
poor
crush my
old
friends.
German
It's
grandmother.
It's these interactions, you know?
It's because I want to defeat my friends horribly.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
It's the core of it is the interaction you have with your family.
I want to bankrupt my family and my friends. That's the only reason to play
Well,
it.
you're not getting into the actual game itself. You're getting into the experience caused by the game.
Because
Exactly,
in,
which
in,
can
in that
cause
vein,
like a form of art.
Well,
okay,
It's
so
an
so
experience.
so then let's say I go watch Hangover 3 in the theaters,
Yeah.
and I laugh hysterically with the audience.
Comedy's an art.
But what if, because singled out, like I'm just watching this film and not with an audience, it's just like it's a subpar comedy movie. Like, is it only art because of the experience that I had in the theater? Because I had a great viewing experience of Spider-Man 3 in the theater because it was awesome being there at midnight with a bunch of other nerds. But looking at it just by analyzing it as a film, it's like, this is not...
Yeah, like Avatar. I saw it in the theater and it was, it's amazing, the colors, but I still found it even in the theater to be cheesy. Then I watched it again at home, like, this is probably the most boring movie I've
It's like
ever
discussing...
seen. They're just flying around and not doing anything.
But it's discussing the same thing is whether or not it is art or is it bad art. Because there's such a thing as good and bad art. Are we just, are we actually saying that Transformers may be art, it may not be good art, but it could be art.
I'd say your average video game would follow in the same line of storytelling, but it's just interactive this time.
Yeah.
It's just like you're actually interacting with the story.
I mean, I guess when it all comes down to it, art is
it's subjective.
what the audience wants to make of it.
It's just
I mean, I don't enjoy Call of Duty, but that doesn't mean that the 47 million people that play it every day.
Well, that's why there's a
love
whole
it.
bunch of incredibly old art philosophers just sitting around in their living room coming up with the definition of art, especially with modern media.
If they haven't figured it out, nor are we.
That's true, because we are not philosophers, and this is definitely not a podcast. So I'm going to use that as an ending point because we have actually gone over our.
Let's play Mario Kart.
Well, hold on, I gotta give the ending show notes here. I apologize for the longer length than usual for this, even though usual is only one previous to this. But I'd like to thank you for listening to Not a Podcast. If you'd like to get in contact with us, maybe send in your feedback. Do you consider video games art? What is your definition of art? Then
if you want to send us fan mail, that would be great. If you want to send us hate mail, we'll read it
anyway. Send anything. And you can send that hate/love mail to tophatmadness@gmail.com. Top Hat Madness is the name of the, I guess, production group or whatever this is. Also the name of the YouTube channel that we have, where we also post these podcasts, if you care to share them in a more easily sendable format.
Yeah.
That was a sentence. Also, if you would like to send artwork to be used for the episode's iTunes episode, then you can do that, as well as sending in your music to be played at the end of the show. Last week, I played a song from one of my friends back home named Jesse Powers, and I hope that you enjoyed that song. And today, I don't know what song I'm going to put at the end, but I'm sure it will be a lovely track. So, I think that pretty much covers everything.
Look at the theme of beans.
No, I'm not going to do a theme of beans. Anyway, inside stuff.
Inside jokes.
Inside jokes. Save them.
It wouldn't be inside if you would let them listen to it.
Maybe.
It's still very inside.
We'll save it for the D&D one with Richard.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll do that. Oh, and Dungeons & Dragons podcast on the way. We're going to try and organize that eventually. So
we can never get through it.
Stay tuned for that. So I think that pretty much covers everything. We'd like to thank our guest for this week, James Kittle-Kamp.
Yep.
Ooh, James.
Yeah, me.
Thank you, James, for coming on the show. Any parting words for the listeners?
Stay classy, San Diego. No, but
no, that's good. End on that. That's good. So, I'd like to thank my co-hosts, Rolly.
Thank you.
And Shauna.
I don't really thank you.
I'm Alex Oldhauser, and hopefully we will see you next week.
Bye.
That is a podcast. No, it's not a podcast. It's not. I swear.
I came to play. Our quarter's up, now what you say. That's why we're here at this arcade. Girl, you and me will put them away. Yeah. Yo, when my baby comes along, well then it's on like Donkey Kong. Yeah, she's at a stage I've never seen before. Level 7 of the light world. It's clear that she's my all-time highest score. I'm her Game Boy, she's my game girl. We rockin' DDR to some J-pop tunes. Go on Super Ace 1942. Roll some tank. Going off the roof. Doesn't matter, babe, unless I'm here with you.
Let's take it home. Jump onto our favorite console.